When I was bedbound and struggling for my life, thinking that I didn't know if I would make it through another day, the thing that I was most obsessed with was not my healing, it was dating. I used to have thoughts like people who've got a partner when they become sick are lucky because at least they've got someone to look after them. And I'm here all on my own. I don't have any family coming by. I don't have any friends coming by. I don't have anyone who lives here. So it's just me. And when I can't do things, they don't happen. If I can't cook, I don't eat. And I think if I had a partner, he would look after me, or he would care, or he would cook, or it would make me feel less lonely. It would give me hope. And this sounds strange if you haven't been on a chronic illness journey, but we would have his brain. That sounds weird, right? My brain didn't work. I couldn't think. I couldn't work out a plan for my healing journey. I couldn't understand words and books and texts. So I also felt like someone else would be on my team. Someone would be on my side who could help me work out what to do. I had seen a very beautiful film about a woman who was on a healing journey from chronic fatigue syndrome, and she had all these boards, like whiteboards, in her office, in her home, and they were covered with like diagrams and notes and plans and all the protocols she'd already tried and all the drugs she'd tried and things to explore. And she lived with her husband, and this film was kind of tracking their journey along all these healing protocols. And when I watched it, all I felt was, yeah, look how much easier it is when you're in a couple. Now, I'm ashamed to admit that, because being jealous of someone else who also was in chronic pain and suffering, that didn't help anyone. You know, it wasn't a very honourable part of me. But the loneliness was so crushing. So I did try to date. And one of the first things that I did was I heard about Facebook groups for dating for people with similar conditions to me. So there are groups, and they're called things like chronic fatigue syndrome dating. Like, one can put that in the Facebook search box if you want to. I would not recommend that you do that. And the reason that I would not recommend it is because it scarred me. It scarred my eyes and my brain and my soul. Because unfortunately, my experience was I think I joined 2 groups, but as soon as they let me in, you have to answer a bunch of questions. Like, you know, what are your motives for being here? And will you be respectful? And will you follow the group rules? And you say, yes, 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 yes. And they let you in and you see nobody else is following the group rules, or the rules maybe are crazy. Because the first group that I was admitted to, there were just hundreds and hundreds of photos of people's naked parts, and mostly, well, all female, all women who were photographing themselves. And not only was it not pretty, it was a big shock. Like, I kind of had this idea that it would be like a dating site for people with chronic conditions. I had heard of people getting together and getting married, falling in love, getting married to someone they'd met online in a chronically ill group of some kind. So I'd heard of specific people falling in love whilst they were still sick, and I was inspired. I thought, it is possible. Now, the reason I was even trying to date is a bit of a moot point, and this is why I wouldn't even recommend worrying about it. I would recover first. That would be my recommendation. Recover first, then date. It kind of makes sense, right? But if you're anything like I was, you might not believe you're going to recover. So I didn't believe I was going to recover. So I hadn't heard of mind-body healing, and I hadn't heard of other people recovering. I had cancer. I had chronic pain since I was 16 years old. I had chronic gut health issues, anxiety, depression, and now I had chronic fatigue. Plus I was getting heart problems, lung problems. I couldn't eat any foods. So I was regularly doing these crazy fasts. But I had a mental block that was, I can't go on a normal dating site and date someone normal, because I thought, A, they won't want me because my self-worth was on the floor. And B, I can't go on a date. Like, what's going to happen? They're going to say, hey, yeah, now we've been chatting for a while and it's all cool, or we've done a phone call, or whatever stage we're at. And then they're eventually at some point going to say, shall we meet up? And then, so am I going to put it on my profile that I'm not going to be able to do that, or that I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that? Or am I going to say, oh yeah, by the way, I can't go out for dinner because I can't eat anything unless it's water or a lettuce leaf? Or am I going to explain to you the crazy dietary protocol, or all the things my latest naturopath or healing person is putting me on? You know, there was a point where I was only working with a white witch. And I look back and I go, yeah, if you have been chronically sick for more than a decade, you're probably feeling this. But if you are someone who is not chronically sick, it's quite surprising the things most of us have done. So the fact that there is these groups for people who want to date who have a similar condition to me, I thought this could really be the answer. So then it was ruined by the fact that I couldn't go in the groups, because every day there were new horrible photographs of people who were, I don't know what they were doing. I don't know why they were thinking this was a good idea. But it reminded me of a scene in Fight Club, the movie. In this scene in Fight Club when there's this woman who's dying and she takes the mic and she's just kind of going, I just want someone. I've got everything we need. I want some action before I die. And it felt like that. It felt like this horrible, painful, awkward thing where people are kind of going, I just want some action. And I really felt like that's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for connection, friendship, a potential partner. And so seeing that made me feel very pessimistic. It was kind of like, well, if I can't do normal dating sites and I can't do these chronically ill ones, what's left? So I kind of gave up. And even though I felt sad at the time, I just really felt like I'm going to die alone. Now, that is a phrase that I used to say. It's kind of a joke. Like, oh, went on a date last week and it didn't work out, and I'm going to die alone. Like a joke when I was younger. And then to actually feel like, oh yeah, that's really what looks like is going to happen here, because I don't think I can make it. And here I am alone. So that felt inevitable. A lot of that, I think, was about me being proud in a way. Like, I didn't want to go on a normal dating website and write my true condition. I have a disability. This is what I can do. This is what I can't do. I'd like to meet someone who is very caring and kind, as well as this, and this. So looking back, I think that would have been a good idea. If that's you, if you're not on a dating site, if you like, I can make a whole video on like how to do a profile or what to look for, how to get ready. Because I did hear a very inspiring story from someone else. She was wheelchair bound and bedbound a lot of the time. So very similar to me. That was the same for me. But she had been chronically ill and registered disabled longer than me. And all that meant was I had had all these health conditions for so long, but it was only after I got COVID and became bedbound that I realised how serious it was, and that it had all been growing and piling up over decades. So I registered as disabled in 2020. So that was when I was like, oh, I know how serious this is now. I really can't work. Whereas she had already been registered disabled for about 10 years before that. So in a way, that creates a really different mindset. She probably had a lot more acceptance of her situation than I did. I was still fighting, like, I don't accept this. Like, I'm not going to write it on a profile. I was never going to tell anyone. like I've got a disability. I didn't want to say that. I don't know how much is shame, how much is pride, how much was this kind of, I thought if I stopped fighting, then how would I get better? Whereas now I know if you surrender, it's easier to get better. But I didn't want to give in. So she was more mature than me and in a better place and more surrendered. So further along her journey, really. And she joined a dating app. I don't know if it was Match.com or Hinge. It was quite early, maybe it was 2021. So I don't know if Hinge was in the UK then. It definitely wasn't Tinder, because I remember it was one that was designed more for long term. And I remember asking her, we knew each other from a Facebook group. We didn't know each other in person because I didn't know anyone in person because I couldn't leave the house. And nor could she. She had written a profile saying that she was wheelchair bound and describing her condition. And the first man that she met, he came to bring her tea and cakes as their first date, and they got together. He started by visiting her 2 or 3 times a week, cooking, bringing her gifts, bringing her cakes, making her dinner. And what she said at the time, which I thought was lovely, was, we just cuddle. So I thought that was really gorgeous. And it was inspiring to me. And I think that could be a really great idea for anyone who would love to meet a partner. But I had a little bit of the feeling that for me, that won't work. I can't do that long term, because the kind of person that I'm looking for isn't going to do that. I don't know what I thought I was looking for. But I felt like that's too much of a carer vibe for me. Like, I would prefer a partner who's kind of busy, already doing his own life and into his stuff. And sure, if he'd already known me before I got sick and we were together, that would be a different story. But to start your relationship with someone who's not just disabled, we're not talking about just wheelchair bound, but you're healthy and happy. This kind of chronic condition is devastating. You cannot know if you're going to be okay tomorrow to go out and do something together. I could not go to a restaurant. There were so many things I couldn't do that it would restrict his life. Anyway, whether I'm right or wrong, I'd love to hear your comments. I decided I didn't want that for a potential partner. I didn't want me to be like that and someone have to look after me. So, yeah, I didn't do what she did, but I loved her story. There was also another story of 2 people. Again, they met in an online group, which was for people with chronic illness, and they built up a texting relationship. He was about 45 and she was about 38, I remember. And they shared photos of themselves to each other, and then they would chat through the day via text, by their phones. I think they were both bedbound. And they ended up getting married and living together, but they had to keep separate rooms. So they were both still chronically ill. And they had separate rooms, and they were married, and they were very in love. It was a very beautiful story, except from my perspective now, someone who has recovered, I believe still recover. They can be together and married and living in the same house and recover now. Whether they did back then or not, I don't know, because that was all that was published. You know, it was lovely. They published their photos of them together. They had a wedding ceremony. They shared it, and it was a really inspiring story for other people in the chronic illness community. So I loved that. But can they now please recover? This is my request. To recover, I believe all one has to do is nervous system healing. It can start with something as simple as 1 meditation a day, the right kind of meditation. If it's something that you are seeking, nervous system healing, I've got a free roadmap which I'll link to below for you. And it also includes the 5 first steps that I took in a private meditation library. Are you someone who is on their own wishing they could date? I would love to hear what your story is. For me, it went on for so many years. And I guess I should be ending this video saying something like, and now I'm happily married, here's photos. But it's not true. I'm still single. But, but now I can go on dates and I'm on Hinge. If you want to go on a more friendly dating site or app, I think Hinge is really the nicest from all the ones that I've seen. And that's partly because you can include photos and video. And I think that you can really get to know someone if they share a video. They also have voice only. So if you're making your own profile, you could put some photos of you, but you could also leave a really nice voice message where you say what you're like. Or I feel like that human connection is so important. For me, I can't really tell what I like from photos. I'm like, sure, you look nice in photos. That's all I can tell. You look nice in photos. If I can hear someone's voice, I get more of a sense of, oh, I kind of feel like I'm getting to know you or like we've talked. And if someone's brave enough to put video, that's great, because still photos don't feel that real. But someone moving around and someone talking. But depending on where you are, there could be a potential date for you down the road. There could be someone just sitting at home now going, I wish I could take someone a cake and have a cuddle. That would be nice, right? Yeah. So if you're brave, you would hold your phone up and video yourself, kind of going, hey, my name is and here I am. I live in this town and I like a peaceful life and comedy movies. Or you could just say a couple of things about your interests, because that would be enough for the person to feel like, oh, yeah, I like this person. And I would just wish for you that your self-worth isn't as low as mine was. Because now that I look back, I realize anyone who likes me now or in the future probably would have liked me when I was sick too. And they maybe would have helped me get to the recovery. Maybe they would have been great at research and found things that I didn't find. Maybe it would have happened so much quicker. It took me more than 3 years to find mind-body healing. You know, trying all the other crazy protocols. I can't even complain, because I do have good knowledge of what all those protocols are. So when people come to me for support, at least I usually know what they've been through and I've done it myself. But still, it's nicer if it's faster, right? It will be nice for you as well that your healing journey not last any extra than it has to, so that you can get to the joy and the freedom and the vitality in your life. Okay, thank you so much for being here. If you've got questions or you want to know more about how to start dating or what to do, please write in the comments and I will read everyone, and subscribe for more so you don't miss any future updates. Take good care of yourself. Thank you for being here.